Alrighty. Hello, and welcome back to Writing with Witches, the podcast about writing and witchcraft. My name is Leona Urbanski. I'm an author with my debut novel coming out ideally early next year after the Kickstarter. And my co host is.
I am Nicole Autumn. I am the author of the Secret Society series with 3 books currently published and hopefully the 4th and final book of this series to come out the end of this year. If I can get my ass going on it.
Hey, we've been doing it, man. That revise a chapter a day goal has been happening.
Yes, it has. Except yesterday. My brain was just like,
Whoa.
no.
When the power goes out, that's kind of beyond your control, just saying.
Yeah, it did come on, I want to say an hour and a half, 2 hours later. But then, again, I ended up binge watching Goosebumps with my oldest daughter. So, other things happened.
That is fair.
Yeah.
So, today is part 2 of the steps to indie publishing in our book writing arc. But before we dive into that, do you have any book news?
Right now, no. I don't have anything to speak on except for the fact that revising is revising, and that's all I'm doing at this point.
My only news is I'm about a third of the way through these revisions. So my book is about 300 pages. I just hit page 99, 100. So
Okay.
that is an accomplishment for me with how thick this damn book is.
It's a thick boy. I want to say I probably hit the 40-ish% mark, I want to say, because I think I'm writing chapter 24 at the moment. So, yeah. And this is a whole new chapter that I'm writing, which is what I'm struggling with. So, I'm trying to figure it out.
I still need to catch up. I still need to finish what you've sent me. I've been a little busy the past few days.
Oh, no. Take your time. Take your time.
So anyway, so book news are done. So do we want to just go ahead and dive in with our very, very favorite subject, as we've already discussed on another episode? That is the next step of indie publishing.
Yeah. So last episode we covered a lot of the technical bits in terms of your book, right? This time we're focusing more on it's still all behind the scenes type things that are related to your book, but now at this point you need to start marketing your book, right? I would say give yourself at least a month before release to start pushing, whether you decide to buy ads or if you're just going to start talking about your book on social media. You want to start doing that probably good, like I said, at least a month in advance. There are some people that will tell you need to be advertising your book the entire time you're writing it. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea, because if you decide for whatever reason this project shouldn't be published, or you are someone that feels the pressure of people asking for it, you may rush things and it doesn't turn out so great. So I think I wouldn't start advertising at least a month in advance before it's ready to be released.
I think it also depends on the what you're planning, how you're planning on publishing the book. Because I know the traditional publishers start publishing about 6 months, roughly. Gauging off of the last traditional book that I'm pre-ordering. We've been waiting for this one for a long time, because it's also the next book in a longer running series. But it's also, if you're planning, like I'm planning on doing a Kickstarter, so I'm going to be advertising 4 to 5 months ahead of time. I'm advertising now, technically. I'm not very consistent or good about it. So if you're planning on doing like a Kickstarter, then you need to be advertising the Kickstarter, which technically is going to be advertising your book, and you are going to want to have the Kickstarter done before publish date. So it depends on kind of what your way of your schedule is going to be. I think in your case that you're not doing a Kickstarter with this particular volume, and it's the third book in a series, you have enough readers that already are like, hey, where's the next book? You really don't have to heavily advertise. I mean, you still want to, but you have a reader base already that's looking for this next book, versus me as a debut author that I don't have a reader base. So the more I can publish, the longer I have to get more people interested into this book. So I think the way you're coming from, that absolutely makes sense. But I think it also just really depends on your plan and how you're publishing and your situation, really and truly. And maybe you don't have time to market more than a month ahead of time. Yeah. That's a possibility too.
That is true.
So, but at least a month before release, if you can do longer and you're comfortable doing longer, I think it's not a bad idea. But you want at least 30 days of steady, consistent marketing to get that reader base coming in.
Yeah. It's always the people that are like, oh, you should be, advertising as soon as you're starting writing it. And I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that one. Yeah. Because there was an author that did this and it kind of blew up in their face. I won't lie. But we won't say names. So nope. I just think you need, like Leona said, if you have this plan for Kickstarters or whatever, yes, take the time. If you know that's what you want to do, then do it. That's our thing. If it's good for you, do it. So yeah, I would say minimum month ahead of time. But before that, and another good way to help market your books is getting ARC readers, right? Having that in readers' hands before will, one, create, some talk around your book. They may advertise it on their own social medias where they discuss a review or whatever. But also a big thing with ARC readers is when you go through Amazon, or mainly Amazon. I don't know how Barnes & Noble works, but Amazon, you have to have at least 50 reviews before they'll push it to anybody else. If you don't have those 50 reviews, they typically won't push it to new readers. So you want to find those ARC readers who are willing to read your book and give honest reviews for Amazon to push your book to other readers. But with that, you have to give readers a chance. So I would say with ARC readers, you also typically want to have that in their hands at least a month, if not 2 months before release. That way it gives them plenty of time to read it as well as write reviews for it. And with that, you also get feedback from them that you may have to fix your stuff.
Yeah. For those who don't know what she means when she's saying ARC readers, ARC, A-R-C, stands for Advanced Reader Copy.
What is that?
So what an advanced reader copy is, and you may have seen these before, you're not supposed to sell these. Our authors or publishers send them to readers for free in exchange for the promise of getting a review and some kind of feedback back from those readers. Again, that's why she's saying give your ARC readers a month to read the book and give you their review before they come back. So yeah, you can give out ARC copies a couple different ways. I know I've definitely seen a lot of print copies, was the traditional way of putting it. I know you primarily go with the ebook copies.
Yeah,
because that's a little cheaper on your end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So both of those are an option. I don't know if, it's not a bad idea, but I just don't know if, I'm thinking of audiobooks.
I don't think I've ever heard of people giving out audiobooks for ARCs that I've heard, but I wouldn't.
Those are just so much time to produce.
Yeah, they're very expensive to produce, so I don't see how that would be given out for free. Unless it was like a certain circumstance. But who knows? Someone might. Um, yeah. But yeah, there's typically, I know most people do ebook arcs because it is cheaper to send out, and they use places like Book Sirens, NetGalley, Book Funnel. Um, there's probably a few others that I'm forgetting, but those are the three main ones that I've heard of.
And one good way to combine your marketing and the ARC readers is a lot of people to get ARC readers. If you are not approaching them individually, like if there is a book reviewer on social media that you think would be a good fit for your books, you're asking them to read the ARC, and if they agree, you send them the ARC. But another way to get it is to have signups, so people could go in and sign up to receive the ARC. I know some people kind of do a selection process on that. I'm not sure. I'm sure everyone has their own criteria for selecting who and who does not get an ARC. And but if you have people sign up to get an ARC, and I know you've done this,
Mm-hmm.
is seeing if they'll sign up for your newsletter at the same time. So that is
Yeah.
part of your marketing, is your newsletter, which I still need to do. And so you can kind of tie having ARC readers give reviews is part of your marketing, really and truly.
It is.
So that's why trying to get people that are reliable about giving that feedback, about giving those reviews. But I know you've also said in the past, it's what, like a 20% chance of them getting your
Yep.
feedback.
Just from the two that I've done and just other authors in general, it typically is like a 20 to 25% chance that you'll get a review out of them. But there's also, you know, a very high chance your book also gets pirated in the ARC process because they are getting it for free. Keep that in mind. So, and I would also say part of that, when it comes to marketing, there's also people do things like street teams. I don't honestly know. I am so in the dark about street teams, but people use them and it's like, hey, honestly, I have no idea. I think they just basically advertise your book for you.
I'm part of two street teams.
Okay.
I am part of the street team for Annalie Huber, who I've mentioned before. Here's my part, who writes murder mystery historical books, and also Elise Kova, who writes fantasy with some romance thrown in there. Um, So Annalie Huber is mainly known for the Lady Darby series. Elise Kova is really getting known for her Married to Magic series. Both of them have other series under their name. But the street teams, they haven't been doing a lot with their street teams lately. But like when I was joining, it was basically advertising their book. Anytime someone asked for a book rec, I'm like, hey, have you tried this? Is this something you're interested in? I did that to a friend of mine in St. Louis who ended up having a Lady Darby book for her book club.
Okay.
She would send me free bookmarks, free like book print plates of the covers. And I would go to the library and I'm like, hey, have some bookmarks. And I would put them in their little free bookmark thing so people could pick up the bookmark and see, oh, hey, this is a series. It's that kind of stuff is what I have been involved in.
Yeah.
There's probably more. I know Kristen Britton has, I would honestly kind of call it a social media team. That's just how I view it.
Yeah.
That helps promote the book as well. So most of my involvement has been like doing book recs, doing reviews for them, um, advertising to a point on social media. Like I know I would always do a book review when a new book came out for them when I was doing book reviews on my channel. So yeah, you are a free advertiser because sometimes you get free stuff for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's how it works. Because, like I said, I've been completely in the dark. I've heard of street teams, and I'm like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And then
Um,
everybody's like, oh, they just talk about your book for you. And I'm like, it seems like there's more to it than that. But I've always kind of been in the dark.
and people on street teams also tend to be kind of first in line for getting arcs as well, because as
Okay.
part of the street team, street team, you are expected to be leaving the reviews and feedback, and they can kind of. And I know at least Kova on her street team Facebook group, she does regular giveaways for people. And I've seen some people, if like they've advertised for her a lot and done a lot for her, she'll send them like free books on their birthday.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
So yeah, so she does a lot with her street team. I'm not as involved in them as I was previously just because of life, but it's fun. It's mostly a Facebook group that you're participating and involved in, and like Annalie Huber will occasionally do stuff, and her street team gets the first news kind of thing, you know,
Gotcha.
to help start advertising for it. So my understanding from the two street teams that I've been a part of, that is what we do.
Okay, that makes sense. But that is another route for marketing of your book. You have those, you know, people that are willing to do stuff in exchange. You know, they do get some free stuff or first sneak peeks and stuff like that. So that's cool. But with your ARC readers, you will also get feedback on certain things along like with your beta readers. You will get feedback on things that have gone wrong in your book. Most of the time, I wouldn't say it's anything crazy story based, but it could be if everyone seemed to have missed a giant plot hole. So this would be your final and last opportunity to go back into your novel and fix anything readers may have found, whether that is a plot hole or spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes or whatever the case may be, a formatting error that you somehow overlooked because you didn't look at the book. All of that will come to light with ARC readers. So again, it's pretty much your final stop to make your last fixes of your book before it gets sent out for publishing.
Yeah. No, and yeah, for sure. These are your final proofreaders / beta readers. They're just called ARC readers instead. ARC readers, you also have, you know, beta readers. You said you don't, we said you probably don't want more than 5 or 6, depending on the situation. ARC readers, you're sending out a lot more ARCs than you are for beta readers. So you're getting a much wider audience. And so that's where you want to have the bulk of things fixed before you send it out to that wider audience. How many ARCs do you usually send out in the past? Have you sent out?
So the first time I had no idea how many I should. So I literally sent my book out to 25 people. Second time around, I had over 100 for Unleashed. So Unbound, I had like 25. Unleashed, I had over 100. And then I got roughly 19 or 20 reviews out of it. So I'm like, yeah, roughly about a 20 to 25% chance you'll get reviews. Some people say the more the better. So it's really up to the author, I guess, with how many they want to actually send out.
That would be a good question. I think if we're able to get in touch with a traditionally published author, how many ARCs are those traditional publishers sending out? Just for comparison's sake, because I'm just curious now.
It makes me wonder because, I mean, and a lot of the times when they're sending ARCs, I mean, there are some that are ebooks, but they do send a lot of hard copy ARC books. So, I mean, shoot, I would say probably in the hundreds would be my thought. Yeah. But I know that is typically sign up related, and it's very hard to actually get ARCs traditionally published.
Well, and I think that's also where if you're buying a traditionally published book, you'll often have reviews from other famous authors on the book before it was ever published. It's because they're sending these books out to these authors specifically to get their feedback, to write a blurb for them to be able to put on this book that they're publishing. So that is definitely an advantage of being a traditionally published author, is your publisher has those ties and connections versus you as an indie author going to some author that you know being like, would you please read my book and give me feedback?
Please read it. It would do me.
I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing, so.
Right. I mean, yeah. And then there's also, you know, like you said, reaching out to, you know, book influencers too. you know, if there is someone that has a big platform that you think your book would be good for them. Now they can turn you down because I'm sure they get offers all the time. There is that chance that they do turn you down, but if you can get it to them and in front of a wider audience, you know, some of these book creators have anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 followers that are going to have their eyes on your book. So it is that, you know, symbiotic relationship with influencers. Unfortunately, not unfortunately. It's like you kind of just have to be like, please read my book without, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, it's like as someone trying to get traditionally published and you're sending out to book agents, except now it's like, I just want a review. I don't want you to do anything else with it. So
yeah,
it's a little less of an ask.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate for me because I just hate asking people to do stuff for me. So I'm like, please read it. You don't have to. If you don't like it, it's okay. That's fine. Like, but please, I feel like I'm begging them. So I'm just like, oh my God, I sound like an ass. So that's where I'm like, it's unfortunate for me. Unfortunate.
Well, to be fair, I would consider myself part of your street team, but I will only recommend your book to specific people that I know would enjoy. You have a little more of a niche audience than I do.
Yeah, so yeah, I would agree with that. With this series, it is a little more niche. It's very you got to be okay with a lot of weird shit.
Yeah,
I don't
a
think
little bit.
I don't think all my books are going to be like that, but this first one just happened to be like that.
Which is not a bad thing.
No.
It's just you have to find the right people that like Alex. Where she was like, yes,
Yeah.
you know.
Thank God for Alex. Or people like Alex too that do like it. But yeah, it is a little bit harder to get in front of people's eyes because not everyone's into like heavy smut, at least not the level that I write. Some people aren't into like these darker topics that come up and there's a lot of trigger warnings. So there's definitely a group, but not everybody. That is definitely not suited for everybody.
I mean, I'm one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would bring us to our witchy tip, which this time we're talking about divination. You don't have to do this as a witch, but I find that most do. We like to consult with the spookies and the spirits to ask for guidance.
The spookies and the spirits.
Yeah.
As I'm taking a drink.
And in some forms of those are tarot and oracle cards. I love tarot because it is a system. So once you learn the system, you could pretty much read any deck of cards. It may change a little bit per author, but overall, the meaning still tends to be overall the same. So you could pretty much read any deck. Where oracle decks, they're made specifically with specific meanings for each card, and you have to learn an entire deck every time you get a new deck, which is, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into. So yeah, I just really prefer tarot.
Which is totally, I know a lot of people that prefer the tarot. I started with Oracle because the first deck I ever found was an Oracle deck. That was the Druid Animal Oracle. And since I'm a practicing Druid and a witch, it was just like, you know, a nice crossover there for me. And so that's the deck that I will say I'm very new to divination. I've had this deck for like 2 years and I just started learning it like 6 months ago.
Oh gosh. Not me.
So, but yeah, no, you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Well, no, even just like if I get a new deck, I'm busting that baby open as soon as I get home. I'm like, I'm going to read. I'm looking at all of the images. I'm reading the book. Like, I got to get my hands on it.
Yeah, no. And I think part of my reluctance was definitely kind of left over from my upbringing of don't mess with the spirits kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I've deconstructed a lot, but as we said in that episode, there's a lot to deconstruct, so you never know when you're going to be done.
Yeah, it takes time,
if
for
ever.
sure. Yeah. Other forms of divination, there are runes, pendulum. Some people even do bones. I don't. I always just worry about like the bone process. I'm just like, I don't know. That's just me. Some people love bones. Go them. And then you have the spooky Ouija board. Which of course I feel like everyone and their mom has heard some type of story of, oh, don't mess with the Ouija board because this has happened to so and so, which could have been true. You never know. There are trickster spirits everywhere. There are malicious ones and there are nice ones. It depends on who you are, the protections you set up, and where you do it at. I mean, if you decide to go to a haunted, spooky hotel and pull out a Ouija board, you don't know what the hell you're going to be getting. So with that, and with any divination, protect yourself. You are working with spirits, whether they're your spirit guides or spirits in the local vicinity, if you're doing it somewhere you've never been. So just keep that in mind. Protect yourself always. Just, it never hurts to be on the cautious side. You don't need, a spirit bopping around your house, spooking you out because you were not careful.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely protect yourself and all that.
I mean, I personally don't use Ouija boards, and it was funny because my husband's coworker found one in their office of all places. And I'm like, that's weird. Why would that be in a military office? I don't know. And Nick asked me, hey, should I bring this home? And I was like, if you want. He's like, no, I think I'm gonna leave it here. I'm like, then why'd you ask me? Like, he was just like, I changed my mind. Maybe not. I'm like, okay, that's up to you. So again, if you're going to do any type of divination, just protect yourself, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, agreed. Entirely.
But
it
never
it
hurts.
can be insightful and it's surprising sometimes, especially enlightening, especially if you've never really done divination before. It can freak you out a little bit how accurate it is. I did a reading for a friend one time, and the question that she asked was something she just came up with spur of the moment. Because I said, hey, I need you to give me some kind of what you're asking for. And the cards that I drew for her, she was crying halfway through the reading. I was like, I wasn't trying to make you cry. She's like, no, it's fine. It's just, this is really freaky, and it's really hitting every nerve on why I asked this question. And it wasn't even like a pre-planned question.
Yeah. I've had some...
It can get you.
I've had some pretty crazy experiences reading for other people where like they've actually felt like physical sensations and we've felt the same one at the same time. I'm like, that's weird. But I always like to tell the story of one of my husband's friends. He asked me a question. He was like, I just want a general reading. I don't know who on his spirits team or spirit guides, they threw all his dirt out on the table for me to read. And they were like, you better tell this boy to get his shit in order. And I was like, man, I honestly feel like it was like a grandmother energy. I was like, ma'am, I'm going to tell him what you said, but I can't make him do nothing. Like, I don't know. And it was insane. Like, he was like, how do you know all this stuff? And I was like, the cards don't lie. I just read them. So it can be very, if you don't know what to expect going in it and you are very open to it, there can be some very personal things brought out on the table for your reader or for yourself. So just prepare for that. And some decks are harsher than others. Like some will hold your hand and say, you know, they're like your grandma that's sitting you down with a plate of cookies and they're like, hey, I think you should work on this. This is something you need help doing. And then there's other ones that are like, you know, your best friend who smokes and eats hot Cheetos all the time. And they're like, bitch, if you don't get your shit together, like, I'm going to whoop your ass kind of thing. So decks have personalities as well, which can be interesting.
I feel like that's the one I encountered on the last time you read for me, was the chain smoking, hot Cheeto eating, saying get your shit together. And then I turned around and did my own reading, and Dex said the same thing. I was like, well,
Well,
fuck all this.
you're like, well, shit, everyone's just ganging up on me. Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That was the vibe.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't hold back, especially if it's a message that they've been trying to get to you for a while and you just don't want to listen. Because I've had the same thing happen to me where I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, this. And then I ignore the message. And then it just keeps coming back and over and over and over. I'm like, okay, I fucking get it. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'll fix it. So, yeah, just prepare for some enlightening information about yourself.
Or the person you're reading for. Either way.
Yeah, or them. You may get real close with a friend, or they may cut contact. You never know. So it's a mixed bag with that one. They may be like, "Oh, she knows too much. I can't talk to her anymore." There is that too.
Yeah.
Was there anything else about?
No, I think we peeled back the scab there.
Indeed. So jumping back into our steps to indie publishing, you should probably start getting your files ready for publication, making sure they're in the correct format. And I would say when doing this, you need to have, I know for Amazon, you need to have your files uploaded at least 72 hours before your publication date. I don't suggest waiting that long because I have seen so many authors say, oh, I had all my files in 72 hours before and my publication date got pushed back for whatever reason because a bleed mark was not right, or this one word was out of the margin and it got screwed up, or whatever the case may be. Amazon will find a reason to stop the publication. So I would say do not wait any later than a week before publishing. If you wait for that 72-hour mark, you run the risk of your book not going out when you said it was going to be out. Don't wait for the 72-hour mark. They say that, but so much shit can go wrong that it can delay it. So there is that. Make sure you have all your files ready before then. So,
Yeah. Be more prepared more than 72 hours beforehand. And
yeah.
It's a hard thing to do as an author because we tend to write up until the deadline.
Yes. I mean, I remember I think it was Unleashed, I was literally about ready. It was going to go out in like 2 weeks. Arc Readers already had it, and I added another smut scene to it at the end. And I was like, there it is. So I'm like, yeah, you got a point. We like to write up until the very deadline, but I would suggest not waiting that long to have everything uploaded on your actual like site where you go to publish it, just so you don't run into any of those issues and you still have time that if something does come up, you can fix it.
Yeah.
But then the fun part, you get to publish your book. Now, it also does say that it takes, I believe, I can't remember because it's been a while. There is a waiting process. Once you press that publish button, I'm pretty sure it's like 48 to 72 hours, your book will be published after that. Because it has to like run through their system, whatever the hell that means. So then you press publish and there you go. You're a published author. Yay. And you get to celebrate that. With that though, on publication day, I would also suggest going to ACX and claiming your book for the audiobook rights. Because anybody can claim them. If you don't, someone could claim your book and produce an audiobook, and you will never receive any of the money for it. They basically took your book, and I mean, granted, it costs a lot to make an audiobook, but someone could do it sitting in their house and just reading a book out loud. It doesn't have to be a big production. And then make money off of it. So just to save your ass, claim it literally the day it's published. I literally publish it and then I go to ACX and I claim it literally right after. So that is something that you should do immediately. And if you haven't with your past books, you might want to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that comes down to that copyright issue. If you want to make sure you have your rights to make the audiobook, because you can lose a lot of money if you lose your rights to make the audiobook and you wanted to make an audiobook for this, or you already made an audiobook for this,
Yeah.
and you were just waiting until the publish date, and someone goes in and claims the rights to it before you can, and you just wasted all that time making an audiobook that you can no longer sell.
Yeah.
So
that would suck. So definitely do that.
that would suck.
Yeah. And then at this point, I know we said start advertising a month before. Well, now that it's out, you got to advertise your booty off. This is when you are reaching out to, if they didn't sign up for ARCs or however your process was for finding ARC readers, now would be a time to, hey, I'm a debut author or I just published a new book. Would you be interested in reading it to influencers or book influencers and stuff? Other authors, because I find authors tend to be a little more reliable in terms of reviews when it comes to books or swapping or whatever. But yeah, if you're doing ads, pay for your ads, get those out. If you're posting every day, now would be the time to potentially even post more than once a day if you weren't before, or start posting every day. Find memorable quotes from your book or making graphics. The list could go on. We cover a lot of that in our marketing episode, which you will then put into use after your book is published. And you will continue to market that book. I mean, for basically as long as you want. I mean, I would think for at least 6 months after you're published, you would be advertising it until you get your next book out.
You market the book so your next one comes out.
Yeah. Which brings us to our next point. You get to roll in the dough and write your next book. The dough of, $50, $60 every here and there. When you're first starting out.
It's something.
Hey, money is money at this point, and that $50 could be in groceries on the table, or a bill being paid.
Yep.
So at that point, you get to hopefully start making money on your work, and you start writing your next book, and it starts all over again. So, it is what it is. You just keep on trucking.
Yeah. So you're advertising your book until you're ready to start advertising your next book, basically. If you're going to write another book anyway. I know some people have written one book and said, I'm done with it,
Yeah.
So.
And there is that.
But you also have to remember that a published book is what people will call an evergreen source of income, because it's always going to be there. You are probably going to get income from it for a long time because it's published, it's out there. People can buy it 20 years from now. You're going to get some kind of return on it. So it's not a bad investment if you're willing to put in the time and effort. That said, you do have to make sure people know about it. You can't rely on a book influencer happening to walk through the bookstore and be like, oh, hey, look, that looks interesting. No, go out, say, hey, will you read this book, and give me some kind of feedback or review on it.
Yeah.
Or post it on your socials or something.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't think it would be a bad thing for you to be like, hey, if you read it and look at it, here's a nice picture of it if you want to post it, so you don't have to go to the effort of doing that yourself.
Yeah.
Making it as easy as possible for them to advertise it for you is only going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah.
I think.
I have seen that. There is one author that I actually got accepted to ARC read for, and it was I want to say L.H. Blake. There's like a pink and blue book right up there. It's the blue one. It was, oh shoot, what the name is it? I'll put it down below. Something with Darkness and Dreams. But I ended up getting an ARC copy of it because I love the first one. And I was like, I want to get my hands on this next book as soon as possible. And on the day of release, or the day before release, she ended up sending out like graphics to her ARC readers and was like, hey, thank you for reading the book. Here are some graphics that you can use to post online for Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and you could post your review or whatever. So yeah, including those graphics is definitely something that is going to make it easier for your readers to post about it without having to do it themselves, because I mean, you never know what an author will or will not like. So if you just provide it for them, it makes it so much easier and less stress on your readers and you, because you don't know what they will post. So, I mean, I've been surprised. There was one person that posted for my book and they did like, what was it? Like the vibes or like the aesthetic of the book. And it was so good. I was like, chef's kiss. That is brilliant. I love that. So you never know. They could surprise you.
Yeah, just having a little, social media package ready to send out, or giving to your ARC readers in some way or fashion, or giving to your street team if you have a street team, so that you already have nice pictures, nice graphics. Heck, you might even be like, hey, here's some copy of the summary of it, so you don't have to write the summary of the book. Even might be helpful. How much they will or will not use is up to them, but having that does definitely make it easier on your ARC readers or whoever is helping you advertise this book than just be like, hey, post something,
Yeah, it's definitely helpful for them. So at this point, like we said, you just gotta market, advertise, and write again on your next project. And then, like, again, it starts all over again, which, like you said, some people may do a one and done book because it was just one story that they couldn't get out of their head. And they decide, you know what, I'm going to post it for anybody. And if they want to read it, they can. If not, okay. But on the topic of, making money off of your books, the more you write, if you find those readers that do enjoy your writing, they will go back into your backlog and start reading previous books. So, like you said, the evergreen income, right? The more you write, the more that gets bigger. So it's like, instead of just one evergreen tree, you have a little forest.
A little Christmas tree farm going on.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point, your first book, don't expect it to be like, oh my goodness. Sorry. My husband keeps texting me. He's at the park with the kids. But I would say, don't expect your debut novel to blow up and you make millions off of it, right? Like, I mean, that's what we all hope for. I don't expect it, though. It's very rare when that happens. Those people are the exception to the rule type of thing. So just put it out there and hope people like it at that point,
And honestly, the people that do reach that status are not normally debut authors anyway. They already have a collection. Like, I know whoever wrote the Fourth Wing book, I honestly don't remember her name right now. I know this was not her first book. She has a whole bibliography already published,
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin already had a whole bibliography published before the Game of Thrones books came out. Same for, who am I thinking of? Brandon Sanderson. Before he really got known for Stormlight Archives, he already had books that he's written and published. That's why he was brought in to finish the Wheel of Time books. He'd already proven. So, and if a debut author is lucky enough to have that kind of break, 9 times out of 10, they already had some kind of social media following. The
Yeah.
biggest example I can think of right now is Kelsey and Peaches Meg, who wrote Voice of the Ocean. Her book did amazing. She has a huge social media following
Oh, yeah.
because she's a Sims gamer already.
And
Which is
before
not a
that,
bad thing. I'm not trying to accuse her or anything, but
no.
she already had the following.
Yeah, and even before that, she worked for BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed.
So
Yeah.
she had already had a following with BuzzFeed, and then they put her on gaming for The Sims. And I think she eventually left BuzzFeed to do her own gaming thing. And now she wrote her book. So she's had a long following, and she has earned that trust with people that when she did put her book out, that's why she did so well, because she already had that large following and people that wanted to read what she had to write. There are people also that create a massive following before books are released, and they could be major flops. I mean, there is one author that I'm thinking of particular that has been all over the place recently because of her book, and everyone thought she was a marketing genius. Like, she somehow managed to just pull one over on everyone, and I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I, at one point, was watching her videos, but I never bought into the book or her Kickstarter or whatever. So, and just because a person has a big following doesn't mean their book's going to be good either. So there is that.
Agreed.
So, I mean, you take your risks where you will. But yeah, if you have a massive following before you get your books published, you're more likely to be successful because people are going to want to buy from you. But if you're starting out at the bottom with, you know, a couple hundred followers and you start building that up, it's going to take time. I think on average, people say you won't start seeing a decent income from your writing until you have anywhere from 10 to 15 books published already. And that's where you'll start making a regular, somewhat livable income on your books. And that doesn't mean that you're like famous. That just means you have a basic income. So we all hope that we will be those $1 million debut novel authors, but it rarely ever happens. So just don't get discouraged if, you know, the numbers are low in the beginning. Keep going and just keep writing.
Yeah, and also just 2 things to remember. Not everyone is going to like your book. Like, no matter how many people you get as followers, there's always going to be people that are just like, hey, that book is just not for me, kind of attitude. That's always going to happen. And also remember, a lot of the people, especially debut authors that you see that are making a really good amount of money and they're all over the news, this is not being me derogatory towards them, but it tends to be like a flash in the pan effect. You hear a lot about it and then they're gone. And unless you go and start and actively dig for their bibliography, you're probably not going to hear about them again. Yeah. So just keeping that in mind, that could be you too. Your book may have made a big splash, but that could be all that happens. And until you write the next book. So you have to be consistent as well if you want to have your name known as an author. And I don't know why I'm saying this because I don't even have one book published, but that is just the effect that I've seen as a reader.
I mean, it makes sense though, because even in, you know, singers, they're called the one-hit wonders. You know what I mean? Like, you may get that one book that just goes nuts and goes wild and people buy it like crazy, but the rest don't. There is that possibility too, which again, that is great in the moment, but sucks long term. So it could go either way. Either way, just keep writing, do what you want to do, you know, and fingers crossed, hope for the best.
Roll in the little bit of dough you made as you write your next book.
Oh yeah, the little bit of dough. Yeah. So that brings us to book reviews. Do you have a book review?
I do. Do you?
Oh, I do. Surprisingly, I do.
Would you like to go first then?
Yeah. Okay. So my book, I had saw this pop up because it is a newer release, I believe. This was actually published September 2nd. So this is like, this book hasn't, it's not even a month old. I saw it come out on Goodreads. I was looking for potentially books actually for my husband to read. And I came across this one, and it was called The First Witch of Boston by Andrea Catalano. Catalano. Um, and it follows a husband and wife. So Margaret, or Maggie, as she goes by in the book, Jones, and her husband Thomas move from London to the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Okay. Can we all see where this is going? And of course, she has an apothecary, she is a midwife, she works with women, babies, and helping the sick. Okay. And this takes place in 1646. And in the beginning, the very first chapter, you learn of Maggie's fate. So you know what's going to happen, right? First chapter, they tell you she's going to get for being a witch, right? And then it goes back into her diary entries, and it's her husband going through and reading her diary from his perspective, and then seeing how all of the events unfold and how it plays out. And oh my God, it is so infuriating because I loved the Salem witch trials growing up. It was one of my favorite things to learn about. And reading this, it was literally taking that and putting it in book form for you to read out all the steps that happen and how fear and ignorance and religious fervor can just warp people to do horrible things. So for Maggie, she was always a very outspoken woman. She knew she had a very good intuition. Of course, she always knew what was going on or what was going to happen if a woman was pregnant before she knew, type of thing. So, of course, word starts spreading, and it gets to the point where she's telling men, hey, I know you're not pleasing your wife. I have something for that. And they believe, oh, she put a curse on me. How did she know that? So, of course, but then there is a woman. It's always this woman. It drove me nuts. That ends up falling for Maggie's husband, Thomas. This widow really likes this man. And he's like, I'm not leaving my wife. We just had a baby. I'm not leaving her. Like, and they also had trouble having a baby in the past. So they had their first child. This woman, this home wrecker, will do anything and everything to get rid of Maggie. So you'll eventually learn the ways that she goes on to manipulate Thomas and basically get Maggie hung for being a witch. But the ending, I won't spoil it, is so sweet. And I was literally listening to it, making dinner last night. And I'm listening to the ending, and all of a sudden, I'm like, yes! Vindication! And my husband's like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I am, because that bitch got what was coming to her. So, honestly, I thought it was a 5-star read. There is some smut. It isn't superly graphic. There are sexual assault scenes in this, and it was not just of women. There was men too. So if you are sensitive to that, it is not graphic by any means. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was graphic, but it is there. So if you are sensitive to that in any way, you may not want to read this, and I would skip over it. There's also child loss and what else? Obviously, murder, hanging. So if you're not into that stuff, I wouldn't suggest it, but I did think that this was like a 5-star read for me because the parallels of what happened in Puritan America versus now was just nuts, right? Like seeing the parallels, and I was just like, wow. So it definitely gave you something to think about for sure. So
And just so everyone knows, if there hadn't been smut, it would have been 4.5 stars.
Honestly, no, with this one, it probably still would have been a 5-star because I really did like it. But the smut was like an added bonus. I was like, oh, okay. I like it. Because they do have the love story of, you know, Maggie and Thomas and talking about how much they love each other and no matter what they do, like they'll get through it, no matter the secrets or the things that happen to them, they will always love each other. And it is a wholesome love story and it's just so shitty what happens to them. It's like, oh, this is such a bummer. And that's the thing is, you know what's going to happen from the first chapter. And like, there's moments that you get this hope that, oh my God, things are going to be okay. And you're like, no, it's not, because I already know how this is going to end. So it's like any hope you feel, it's just instantly crushed. You're like, God damn it. Things go great. And then you just know. You're like, I just know this isn't going to end well. It's going to end badly. So you can't even feel happy for them in the moment. It's so shitty. But it was so good.
Noted.
Yeah. Your book review.
Okay. Mine is a little drier. I'm still on my learning about the old gods kick. So mine is another book about Freya. It's called Freya, Lady Venatus, I think, by Patricia M. Lafayette. Lafelve? Lafayyllve. I don't know.
One of those.
Yeah. It's like the last Pagan Portals, but it's not Pagan Portals, but you know, it's just an introduction. It's very thin. But again, it was an interesting read. It kind of helped validate a lot of the information that I got in the last Freya book and learning more about her role as a goddess of sex and magic. And it was really interesting on how they were portraying her dominion over sex and love. Like she's not the goddess of marriage. That's, I'm going to say it wrong, Frigga, Frigga, in the Norse pantheon. But Freya is the goddess of sex and love. So it's kind of, in modern day terms, any love, any kind of sex. And they also made the point of, you know, sex isn't always a good thing. But you know what? She still has dominion over it. So, because she also claims half of the battle slain for her hall before Odin gets his. Yeah, I didn't know that. So that would be one for me.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Norse pantheon, so it's new to me too.
Yeah, this is my first real introduction to it. But it's really fascinating, and I really like learning about these. I need a break from my dry mythology books, though, as interesting as they are. So I think next week is going to be a fiction book.
I would agree. I would agree.
Because we're not done with Eye of the World yet. So
yes, I need to read more of that. But I started reading one of your other oh shoot, what was it called? One of your other book
Savage books.
Yes, that was the one I started.
Melana Jax.
And I'm like, I should be reading Eye of the World right now, but you know.
See, the great thing about the Melana Jax books, though, is they're short and sweet and smutty.
Yeah.
That's why I love them. I could honestly do a book review of the first one because I did just recently reread it, but I was trying to do something else.
Yeah. So I started the first book and I think I'm like 5 chapters in. And already I could just tell, I'm like, this is going to be dirty. I like it. The only thing that I'm finding that bothers me is like, instead of just saying a man or men, it's males. The male. I'm like, okay, we get it. He's got a dick. Can we move on? Like, call him something else? Like, I get it. He's a male. But that's the only thing that I've noticed because it is quite repetitive. And I'm like, okay.
I think the main reason she went with that word choice is he is not human.
Yeah.
So I think that's why she went with that word choice, replacing men or man with.
I mean, yeah, which when you put it that way, it does make sense. But I think it's just the repetitiveness of how often the characters say it. I'm like, I get it. But that's my only
Don't worry,
complaint
this
so
makes
far.
up for it later.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, let me just push through this. It's like one of those like little tiny reading annoyances that you have, or that I have. Yeah, I'm just like, I can get through this. We'll just ignore that word. We'll just keep reading.
You got through the triple comma ellipses. You'll get through this.
I can get through this. Oh gosh. Yeah. But so that's what I started reading. And I was reading a little bit last night. And I'm like, I really should be reading Eye of the World. And even my husband was like, aren't you supposed to be reading that with Nancy? How far ahead is she? I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's probably close to being done. And I'm not even close. I was like, I really need to worry more.
Because I was waiting for you to catch up.
Yeah.
So I'll look at it on my nightstand and I'm like, put it back, pick something else up.
And it's not even that, like, he's like, oh, is it just not good? I'm like, no, it's good. It's just, I'm finding it is harder for me to read third person. I don't know why, for some reason in this book. I don't know if it's because of the amount of world building and it's third person. It is harder for me to read or like get into. But once I'm in it, it's good. The book itself is good. But reading it in third person and the amount of world building can get a little overwhelming. But like I said, once I'm in it, I'm in it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've got that one on my shelf. I just finished the Freya book. I have a book on lucid dreaming and a book on shadow work, but both of those are kind of do the activities as you go books.
Yeah.
So they take a while to get through. So I think the next book I'm going to grab, I don't remember the author, but it's called Wooing the Witch Queen.
Ooh.
So I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds fun.
It's either that or it's going to be the Critical Role Romance Tusk Love. One of the two. Off to the side.
Either way, that sounds good. A nice break.
Well, I know Tusk Love is funny.
Ooh, that's always nice. That's always a bonus.
But yeah, the other good thing is that's the last box of books. It's the last one.
Last box.
And it's going upstairs after this podcast to get unpacked. And then all of my books are unpacked. And it makes me a happy person.
Yes, that would be very good. So yeah, that is the end of our podcast. You can find us at writingwithwitches.com. You can email us at writingwithwitches@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky, and we have a Discord server all under Writing with Witches. So if you want to look us up, you can find us in all those places. I also have the all aforementioned places, including a Discord server for my readers, as well as my newsletter on my website, which everything will be linked down below in a link tree. So yeah, it's all there for you.
So you're going to find me as Leona Urbanski. Mainly going to be on Facebook and Instagram and my Substack. And honestly, that's kind of the only updated places right now because grad school is kicking my ass pretty hard right now. So,
yeah. And honestly,
that like, and the move.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, I haven't even been updating my social media lately. I'm always on my Discord, but I haven't been doing as much in it, but I always have it open. But right now, most of the information has been coming from my newsletters. So if you want the most up-to-date information in one fell swoop, sign up for my newsletter on my website. So, and don't forget to subscribe to Leona's Substack.
Yes, please.
Plug.
Alrighty.
Substack.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening or watching, and we will see you next week, and we will be covering...
Kind of up in the air right now.
Kind of up in the air, yeah, because I went and looked at it, I was like, I'm not entirely sure, because we've had options, but we aren't fully decided. So next episode will be a surprise. But there's that.
Yeah.
So thank you all for listening and watching, and hopefully you come back next episode. Bye.
For the surprise. Bye bye.
Yeah.